Miltown here. Serena here. Florida here. Tamaka here. Mr. Shannon here. Simon here. Lisa here. Mr. Schneider
Here. All right, so our only agenda for tonight is our annual budget presentation. So, we're going to turn it over to our PA, Turkey, with our presentation 2004, 2005 school budget. After the presentation, we're going to open up to questions first from the board, and then we'll open up to questions from the public.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Dr. Stephanie Brown, superintendent, in case we haven't met. I'm pretty sure I haven't. We're going to go over tonight our 2024-25 budget for next year. As usual, we're very proud of what we put together. As I go through it, I'll try to explain a couple of different things that we have added and a couple of things that have been long overdue. And then, of course, as usual, in Milltown, we're very ambitious, so we're always trying every addition for the past cuts. So the first thing I want to talk about is the next slide. No. Okay, one more back. You're really ahead. Keep going back. Want me to just keep it? Is it too far? Okay. So thank you. All right. So every budget is made up of revenue sources and appropriations. So appropriations are the different categories that we actually spend our money on, and the revenue sources is where we get that money to spend. So as the presentation moves forward and Ms. Cersei comes to the mic, she's going to go through each one of these in greater detail, but these are the general categories that we address as we're building our budget every year. Okay. The main revenue sources that we have are state aid, the local tax levy, fund balance that we carried forward from the previous year's budget, a capital reserve withdrawal that Cersei will talk about in more detail that I'll touch on. Other revenue sources, which would be like facilities use, pre-K tuition, things like that. And the federal grants, IDEA, which mainly helps to supplement our special education program, and NCLB, which is the old terminology for ESEA, which is more for gen ed purposes, things like professional development and other intervention programs. This gives you a history of the special education, of the state aid numbers that we've been getting over the past several years. So it goes all the way back to 2015-16. And as you can see, it's a better picture as we've been moving forward into more recent years. And unfortunately, that has to do with how some districts have been in the local news, getting a lot of cuts in their state aid. We have actually been on the other side of the funding formula where Milltown is benefiting from the implementation of the funding formula. And that has a lot to do with our strategy here. That was confirmed actually by a couple different people where as a local district, you have to prove in the software that you're paying your fair share locally, or it doesn't serve you well in the funding formula. So we've been doing a good job at that. As you can see, we're making up for lost time. And it's taken a long time, and I'll get into that in a little bit, to make up for what happened here. Long time. Okay, thanks. All right, one of the things that we're also very proud of is we're able to do major facilities improvements. Capital reserve is put aside specifically for facilities projects like a roof, like the J.K. masonry restoration that we're doing. This $1.2 million in capital reserve in a small budget like ours, in a district that doesn't have fiscal responsibility and strategies in the budget, we would have to go out for referendum for that. But thanks to Ms. Tercey and a lot of hard work with the board and, their support, we don't need to do things like that. So this, just like the modular and the JK, renovation we did with the main entrance last year, all came from a capital reserve fund that is within, the state aid revenue and within the local tax levy. So we're very proud about that. Just to explain this a little bit more detail, so this is another piece of the roof at JK. We did a part of it last year, we're doing another part of it this year, then we should be good for a while, right? And then the JK masonry restoration is a level up from what you would normally call repointing the brick, because we're actually pulling bricks out and replacing it. So we have some leakage that's going on from the second floor down. Is it your office, Bill? So we're gonna stop by Mr. Beat umbrellas and we're gonna fix the water problem. Okay, so these 4 categories are something that I usually present early on in the budget planning process as full budget drivers. So this certainly doesn't represent everything in the budget, because like I said, we'll get to all that. But these are the main things that we tried to highlight this year, as, you know, points moving forward or restoring things that were lost in the past, just different things that we wanted to make priorities in our budget planning. So in the staffing section, one thing that we are moving forward to next year is putting a security guard in each building. These are 2 brand new positions that, due to the fact that we've got additional funding in state aid and some creative budgeting, we were able to put 1 in each building. This is certainly the trend in all the neighboring districts. So we're not on the forefront of this by any means. We're actually, you know, right where we should be with putting them in next year for sure. So we have a posting out for security guards, and Mr. Bloss is going to do a great job of hiring people that would be a good fit for our schools. Library and media specialist teacher, this position was lost years ago in the 2010 budget cuts with Governor Christie. So it's taken 14 years to get a media specialist back in each of our schools. So we're very proud to say that we were able to work that into this year's budget. And Ms. Klinger, our current library and media specialist at Parkview, is going to be instrumental in helping to find a candidate for that. We're also restoring the library and media aid here. So that person was on board for a little bit longer than the teacher, but she retired. When she retired, we were not able in that budget year to restore the position. So now we're able to get that back. So the JK library is going to be fully staffed for next year, which it hasn't had these people in a very long time. The next position, the facility supervisor, that was like a week or so ago. We've been interviewing for that. That position also hasn't been in place for about 8 years. And when that person moved on to another district, we did not fill the vacancy. Instead, the business office and I took on those responsibilities to oversee things like the JK renovation, other roofing projects, HVAC units. So this is a long overdue position to help us, you know, get our buildings, make sure our buildings stay in the good repair that they are. All right, the next piece with facilities, moving right from the facility supervisor to facilities. These are a couple things that we're focusing on. You see the JK roof section and the brick masonry that I already mentioned in the last bullet point here. So Parkview is going to get a fencing extension to bring the fence on the back tree line all the way over to the senior fence. And then we're also going to put up some soccer goals to allow Parkview to have another option at recess. As far as games. And then the last thing is the JK Field walkway extension. So the walkway that leads from the basketball court in the back to the current parking lot, we're going to put an extension so it doesn't leave off right into the cars in the parking lot when the children are walking back. We're going to put it around like hugging the side of the modular so that there's no need for them to go into the parking lot. All right, instruction. Thank you to Mrs. Tyner for suggesting a writing goal for the district for this current year. So we spent a lot of time looking at our writing program, and teachers did select a new K-5 writing program. So we're going to be working on including those units in the curriculum over the summer and putting the program in place for next year. So that's a great addition to our current language arts program. Currently, we're using Fontes and Canal, which is really strong as far as reading. But teachers were using their own resources or resources that we already had in place from previous programs as the writing program. So we really did need to purchase something to supplement that reading program. So now we'll have a dual strengths in reading and in writing in the elementary grades. The JK Library Media Inventory Audit goes along with what I was saying with staffing. So we're going to be spending quite a few hours that I budgeted over the summer for going through the library at JK, using our software and purging out some of the titles that are just completely outdated and then, updating our inventory. We're also looking at adding an autism program at Parkview, and Mrs. McGowan is looking at how to reorganize over there to meet the kids' needs, so we can offer more children an opportunity to stay in the district that might otherwise need to go out. We're going to continue our contract with our STEM consultant, who's been working mostly with our middle school teachers at this point. And we're going to have him review all of our science units and embed more STEM and STEAM activities next year. So that's part of the PD initiative. And then the last professional development initiatives is a best practice strategies. Mrs. Iazette has been working with a vendor, and we're going to hit the ground running in June, actually, and introduce the key staff, chair people mainly to the idea of what best practice strategies we're looking at. That's going to be both through our district series, which is a 4-part series throughout the school year, in addition to being embedded in our professional learning communities, so that the teachers can really take what they're learning in the professional development sessions and then put it into practice through their action plans in their professional learning community. So we're very excited about that real dual approach to the PD. And the last part is the technology. Mr. Ariama is going to have a cybersecurity audit to make sure that we are prepared for any cyber attacks through either email breaches or software breaches. We're going to have somebody poke holes in where they can, and then we'll do our best to remediate them. And then the last part is our musical production, which is the JK play. Is such a great part of the community over here, and we wanted to invest some money there to upgrade our equipment and buy additional equipment. So we're going to put some time and effort into giving the kids and the parents a better experience with that event. Okay, so this is where I'm sort of going to turn it over to Ms. Tercy, and she can go through all of this, but in detail in the next couple slides. But this is a list, and it obviously shows you the same appropriation categories as I highlighted in the first slide of the presentation, and it gives you a timeline, last year's or this current school year's budget to next school year's budget, and the percentage change along with the dollar amount of change in each of the categories. So Ms. Tercy is going to go through and explain each, like I said, in detail. Does anybody have any questions for me before I turn the mic over?
Hey, I just would like to go. I'd like to go back a second of the facilities manager that we are hiring for the first time in 8 years. We haven't had a position. So we had a very, very invaluable person retire. And that's the reason, as Dr. Brown said, we've been doing it for the last 8 years as a strong business knowledge and with Dr. Brown. So now this is time to leave that position will be hands on our facility. Okay, so so I have an explanation of what is in each category, but just go through the numbers first to see the increase that we've had. District operations change is minimal with increases in salaries and treasurer, advertising, and support staff, attendance and supplies. So that will be up $64,000. For general education is $630,000. Special ed in district 10%. by 272,000. Out of district, we usually try to put a few contingencies in because we're dealing with children, so wild card, and coming into town, and what the needs are of the students. So we budgeted a couple of students as contingencies so that the less district students. So tuition when is going up 371,000 next year, so 7%. We have a recalculation 2 years ago, so that is all part of that number. Our charter school went down because we only have 3 students next year going to the charter school instead of 5. Transportation, special ed and regular, now we've set it routes. We had 6 for a long time now. Are increasing the enrollment slots really went up, so we needed to fill a whole bus. We need that seat for every kid. So transportation is about the house increase. Co-curricular athletics is about 50,000. Health services is minimal 4,000. Our benefits, and I'll explain that in detail, what that includes, 100,000. Our facilities maintenance category went down 100,000 because we did the roof last year, 5,000 square feet of roof that was taken out of that category. So we did not use capital reserve for that maintenance reserve. So that went for next year. Now we're using the capital reserve for the big budget next year. And as a big capital outlay, the $268 is the seventh tax. Apologize, the seventh that the state takes from our state every year, $1,068. So the difference in the change, 1.2 million, which is roughly our 2 major projects. Okay, so in district operations, other than the salaries of its staff, we have five as our software support. Our legal counsel, we increased a little bit for next year for negotiations, and we had a couple of mediations. So we need to make sure we have the attorney for next year. We are using different advertising venues, which increased that a little bit, and our membership dues. Okay, our general education category, so those are teachers, substitutes, our stipend positions, which you pay a lot of those teachers put in the extra time for that. Our team students, counseling services, media specialists, teachers and library aides. Our media center expenses and Dr. Brown, the media specialist is a new addition for next year. Curriculum, home instruction, professional development, and second department supplies, along with our top releases, which is becoming more and more. Our special education district includes the director and facilities, support staff, teachers, paraprofessionals, and OT in-house and in district. Our supplies, extended school year, and additional evaluations that we got for each week. We have a couple of companies coming in to evaluate the students. So that is a great accomplishment. Public and special education out of the district. Not sending JA, but we private with 28 students out. District 2,400,000. Spots with research is considered special ed also, and we have 200,000. We looking for a higher because we have more students there. So 200,000. We also had almost 200,000 in the recalculation from 2 years ago. So the whole stock would only increase by 1,000. Okay, our co-curriculum athletics, consists of our clubs and facilitators, our event chaperones, programs, big brothers, big sisters, graduation, student assemblies, family involvement, programs, coaches, class trips, chaperones, and that alone is 300. Our health services are our nurses, substitute nurses, school doctor, health supplies, and extended years. Okay, so the spot for next year, we have 330 students, which is a lot of high schoolers. That's for next year. Our tuition is $16,000 per student. And we had an adjustment from 2022 to 2023 of $220,000. So next year we will pay $5,501. So the stock of students, to give you an idea, in 2021, we had 81. Go to Stockton in 2021, 22, 89, 22, 23, 106. So we're increasing in the next year, we budgeted more. We have 3 students on the charter school at 70,000. Our transportation category consists of eight in lieu. Spotswood High School, as I said, 7 around 7 buses. Our athletic busing, special education out of district, and we have a bus. Our benefits. Employee benefits consist of a board share and funding we pay for PERS, two pensions, one on TPA, one's first, for the non-certificated pension obligation are for the board PERS and workers' compensation insurance, looking at that. We have a this that an percentage as all in the first slide. Tuition reimbursement for teachers and retirement benefits and medical waivers. We still give some employees medical waivers if they get with us, not for employees. Okay, our facilities and maintenance operations, our supervisor, and then it's proud that they're adding 2 security guards, one in each school, custodial staff. Lunch aids, our electric bills, which has been great, that we have a lot of electricity in town, so that's a very good increase for us. Insurance, liability and auto, ready, and supplies and equipment. Our capital outlay, like I said, we have $2,068 taken every year from our CD. That is an assessed state from years ago, doing that. They've been taking that forever. Okay, so the general fund, the tax levy for next year is 2% increase. And we're estimating about $180 per year. $15 per month, and the average set home is still $163,000. So the same, pretty much the same last year. Any questions?
Thank you. One of the other questions for the board. I know you come now, but for the transportation, the 1.8 How much of that is in those second spot on the buses?
I,
Oh, okay, yeah, I just think that, sorry, I'll just be like the whole time spot.
right. About 70,000 plus. Based on hours of each year, they give us. Correct. Only units. Hours of the research. Right. Right. And the big calculation is based on.
Yeah.
That's. Well, I presented this before, that's how. It's not really regular. Saying that you see, everyone has that. No, well, we only pay for this. So they are serving servants. Yes, they're teachers, but the whole extent of each category, the budget is based on just notification. I think previously, everyone has research set. Yes, everyone has research set. And we get a recertification from the state of New Jersey through spots. But I mean, I can give you the information. State of New Jersey. Now, I get 3 going to, greater. And state tells us that it's more of an in and out cost, and they tell us how much we're going to use. Yeah, that's. Yes, I believe that, we need 100 students. 100.
So it seems that the highest increase in percentage is benefits of 15%. Is there a correlation between the percentage of benefits to like the general education or the operations categories? Like, if the increase in staff, what correlation between the increase in staff that we're the increase in the percentage of benefits that we're
It depends on the employee that they're hiring. Now, for example, the 2-year-olds, if we retire, police officers is happening. The.
Are we teaching the laws of the hard budget or just fitting in town? Like, are they?
So they are not in this ones, they're gonna be our employees. Okay. She found that in the conversation with reporting, but there are pretty common for those to do that.
So again, it depends on the employee we're hiring, whether they need that. Did I answer? Do you want to say it again?
No, I would like, so when you say it's just a matter of whether or not they need the benefits, it's not a matter of what their position, like, is what I'm saying.
No, every position.
Just like full-time students. Very active. The full-time employees is every is offered minutes.
So are we thinking, I think.
No, think that also the increase in the. Last couple of years, also, right, it's probably going to go the categories again, also, like an EHP even is flat. EHP is the acknowledgements from the state of New Jersey. So the employees are now contributing less. So that's why our cost of the district is years ago, the employees had PLS anymore. And there was year 4, you know, all that now, it's a percentage of their salary that's not. Let me get my. I usually have all the numbers on top of my head. Okay, so transportation, regular transportation is 700,000. We have, 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I said it's not doing. 2 to go check. We have the satellite and the show. And then we have, so that's regular education at 701,000. Our special services, we have. And the previous agencies, so the 12 are special education grants, and that is 1,091,000. We budgeted for 330 students. And I just, we're just big. Students in high school, it's close,
It's not.
it's that. I just say. Since 2004, maybe. It's been a long time. It was.
Yeah, it's status quo is fine, but I look to the future, you know, status quo. Okay, yeah, I understand.
So that we're all there. So the contract with Spock is not something that's negotiable, and it's not something that we would have our stuff, be relinquished from Spock. We want to show that they're able to run the high school. That sometimes revenues, that's the students that traditional on the side. If they could show that, then they could release us from that contract. There's no other way to do that unless the state at the trends level did some type of, legal mandate for us to then consolidate or to regionalize in some other respect. These are options that we have to consider from the local level. So there's no conversation there to be had to investigate other options besides the Scotland High School and the legislature and put out some kind of law saying that these are your other options aside from. So I understand how other counties have regionalization and all that, but those things come from the state level. So if you remember several years ago, there was small consolidation and these are hot topics that can come on the table. That's not even in consideration right now. So again, and that comes back around. It would have to be Scotland Board of Education and Milltown Board of Education, both going through the process at the state level to consolidate, which means that you have to put legal counsel in place to bring both of the negotiated agreements together, both at the teacher level and the administrative level, to see how that will work out as things kind of work their way through the time when the contract beginning. There's really no point in having a conversation without things that we don't have very, very little control over. That's what we can do with what we've been doing, is working with Spockwood to try to make sure that our kids have a line of curriculum and that everybody is successful.
One question I had back then, we had lots of in terms of students. How
So that's why we use modular. Having a student be able to classroom, we have much more space now, because of that, and that helps. I think we're okay right now, where we need to be, our goal is steady. Sure, I don't know.
1 year, 5 years, 10 years? I know that's a loaded question.
Loaded question, it depends on the town. Once they break ground, then we can start the big projects, so they go from there. We did a study on the addition at Park a few years ago, and the student dollars to move us to the module. So we did that, we revisited if we have to, so we can't do anything with that routes. It's state law routes.
All right. Our recommendations, the resolution, will be the following. We recommend Recommend promotions and resolutions as outlined in finance numbers 1 to 32. Questions or comments? All right, I'll have roll call.
Mrs. Petrio. Yeah. Mrs. O'Mara. Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mrs. Sparta. Yeah. Mrs. Smoka. Yeah. Mr. Schaefer. Mrs. Simon. Yes. Mrs. Souza. Yeah. Mr. Snyder.
Yes. All right, so, next is the executive session, and we have one comment, just want to thank Dr. Brown and Ms. Kirby for, all the hard work on the budget. You know, it's not easy, but that, Dr. Brown said at the beginning, we've got our fair share, hopefully the residents appreciate that. So we get that, I appreciate, this year especially, you know, skating has been a hot topic in the news, to look around East Brunswick, South Brunswick, all of them, especially East Brunswick had, over 50 staff having programs for everything. So the fact that, you know, such a small district as we are, receive that state aid, our fair share of taxes, that always, you know, go into always, improving the quality of community first, our, you know, our pay. So again, thanks to both of you, thanks to the entire board for all our work that goes into it, and a lot of integrated speakers. Here today, so thank all of you, for all your hard work. So, again, thank everyone. Sometimes it's difficult, but here, all that's fine. And it's fun for safe, so. That,